what is the role of hope then in the work that you do? You said you're a hopepreneur, which sounds amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
I would wish all businesses would become hopeprenerships rather than being all about the money. But just tell us a little bit about what that means.
So hope is actually the key. No,
Okay.
hope is actually the key. And what hope I talk about is not a passive hope. Just hoping that things will fall into place. Especially if
Right.
you come around to the work you are doing. No, just
Correct.
hope that my relationship will mend someday,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
it will improve someday. No,
Right.
just hoping and sitting and doing nothing, taking no action is not a right
Hmm.
hope. It is a passive hope. But what I talk is here is about active hope. Now,
Hmm.
how actively you can actually plan for your future. What is
Right.
your intent for your future? So, hope here is not a choice. I say
Right.
hope is a decision.
Wow, I love that. It's an action,
It's an
marching towards
action.
hope. Yes.
Absolutely. So, you have to have a action oriented hope.
Right.
And then that hope turns into happiness. So, what I say is when you have hope, you have happiness. So,
Okay.
hope is the cause for your effect, which is your happiness.
Wow, I love that. So I love the fact that, hope is usually seen as something where you pray and you hope and you are
Hmm.
waiting for some external factor to change your life. But here
Yes.
you're saying the hope is emerging from inside because you're choosing your happiness. You're choosing this path which is going to create, in a way, your intention is going to be manifested. So, you're hoping to be moving towards something. So I really love that. So I learned two very important things from you today. One was the radical pause, and I love that because it's similar to what I do, but I love the way you framed it. And of course, this, active hope
Yeah.
rather than a passive hope. So, for example, so let me just ask you, if there was someone who is in a bad relationship, for example, and everybody says, "Oh, don't worry, things will get better tomorrow." What is that internal dialogue she can change? Which will shift her mindset from this passive hope, which depends on the other person changing or the other person behaving better, versus her own way of negotiating.
Absolutely. So if she is in this kind of a critical situation where she feels that it is a hopeless situation,
Right.
no, that is where from where we have to bring out that hope, no.
Correct.
And again, coming to active hope means then she has to decide what is she does
Mhm.
she want? Does she want to remain in that situation? Then probably she has to work on whatever she has to mend there. No,
Right. Right.
cannot be just sitting. You have to bring about certain changes in yourself so that the other person starts to change.
Right.
Transformation within will become bring about the transformation outside. So either she decides to do that, or if she knows that no, this is gone past that,
Hmm. Hmm.
then she has to take another decision. She
Hmm.
cannot be sitting there that someday my mother will get to know and then she'll take me out from this situation,
Right.
or when my children will grow up and then they will know that my
Correct.
mother is suffering and they will do something
Correct.
about the horror of this.
Correct.
No, that waiting is not hope. She
Hmm.
has to internally have this conversation, if you say so, to understand that
Right.
what is the decision she is going to take for it. No, so
Hmm.
and when once she has decided, then that hope becomes an action for herself.
Correct, correct. So it's not just a passive, as you said, waiting for somebody else to come and rescue. Like in the fairy tale, you're faced with this dragon. Nobody's going to come and rescue you. You need to figure out how to make your way forward. So I think that's really, it's very interesting to me. As I started doing this work initially, I thought, as a doctor, I approached it in a very scientific way. Then as I got deeper into it, I realized it is so much about two words which I've never really, as a professional, ever dealt with really in a big way. One was surrender. Because,
Hmm.
as a doctor, as a professional, surrender is not something we do. We are always fighting to make sure, you save somebody's
Yes.
life, you do the best treatment. And the other thing was faith, which again,
Yeah.
as a scientist, I really had to figure out, okay, well, like, what does this faith really mean? But I think both those things made me realize how much we are disconnected to a large extent with our own inner knowing, our own, deeper self, which
Hmm.
actually knows all these things. Because in some ways, in society and particularly in professional spaces, we prioritize the intellect and the mind so much
Yeah.
that we don't really talk about the heart and the gut. And in fact, as
Absolutely.
doctors, we are told specifically, don't get emotionally attached with your patients,
Right.
because
Right.
your decisions have to come from your logic.
I give that example so many times because as a coach, when we are able to get little, so we say no, like a doctor, we should not get attached because if
Right.
the doctor gets attached with every patient, he will be crying only all the
Correct.
time because everybody is
Correct.
suffering so much, no? The physical suffering which they see, the trauma which
Correct.
the doctor can get if they get attached by seeing those
Absolutely.
people around them suffering. So I always give that example for doctors actually.
Right, right. But one of the things that I learned through one of my mentors was to say that, when you're working on a relationship issue, whether it is divorcing, essentially it's your relationship with yourself. You come to this work from different spaces, but essentially the whole idea is to fix your relationship with yourself. And she always said that the patient on the table is yourself.
Yeah.
So if you are your own doctor, you are also your own patient. So you have to stay detached and say, okay, in this situation, the Suchitra is who's going through the bad relationship. I need to see objectively from my wiser heart and gut self, not just from my brain, because then the
Yes.
ego comes in and then you can't share with people, you can't be vulnerable, you can't
Yes.
accept to yourself also,
Yeah.
that, oh my God, this is not working, because you always have to make sure you look good in front of other people, right?
Yes.
So you come from the heart or you come from the gut. So what does that feel like when someone is, not used to it? How easy or difficult do you find it for people to shift from, being a doer to a be who they are?
Yes. To be. It is very, very important. So understanding that we are always in the mind. No,
Hmm.
our old scientists say you are what you think,
Yes.
and
And that
that
was
is
a mathematician. That was a
yeah,
mathematician who said it. So we know
correct.
that.
So it,
Yes.
it went from there
Correct.
everywhere. No, that what you are, what you think. So we
Correct.
kept on thinking that I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. So when I do my sessions and I say, if you are able to remove all the labels out of you, are you still what you are?
Wow. Yeah.
You are still what you are. No, you are just alive.
Absolutely.
So if you are alive, then if you are sick, you
Hmm.
are not sick. It is your
Hmm.
body which is sick.
Wow.
So when you're seeing as an objective reality from behind,
Hmm.
as an observer, you are seeing your body to be sick.
Correct.
So if your body is sick, then why are you suffering? You are not suffering.
Right.
No, it is your body which is
Right.
in pain.
So we
No, it is
disidentify with the body. You
it,
have to recognize there's a different
absolutely,
level. Right.
absolutely. That is how the shift comes in.
Wow.
No,
No,
when
that's
this
really very powerful. Yeah.
yeah, so when this shift comes in, only we can have that kind of a compassion for our own self then.
Right.
No, that kindness can come to our own self. Then we can also pamper our own self.
Correct.
Otherwise, we are so identified with the body because that is what we want to portray to the world.
Correct.
No, that
I
is what
agree.
everybody sees us as.
Hmm. And you spoke about pampering, and I think that's very important because a lot of the women I speak to, again, in a similar situation as most women, used to so much sacrifice and, doing for others. Even the word self-care or self-love sounds to them same as being selfish. And they are
Yes,
like, no, no, how can I do this? But, the homework has to be taken, your father-in-law has to be looked after. I said, no, but you have to look after yourself first so that you are able to care for those you want to. But I think
yes,
partly it's also the environment and the conditioning which keeps giving them this message again and again. Oh, and especially women, they're like, oh, you keep going to the spa, you keep putting nail polish. So whatever women want to do to indulge or pamper themselves is always seen in a negative light.
yes, yes, yes.
How do we break out of that mindset?
By ourselves only. A woman can only do that. It is the woman who will treat another woman like that. No, it is a
Mm,
woman who will see that oh you are going to a kitty. Oh, so the tone itself will change.
right, right. So you're
The
looking
tone
down on them, you're kind of
you are
judging
looking
them
down.
already.
Yes. You
Hmm.
judge. You start to judge. No, so if you are going to a spa, you are judged. If you're going
Hmm.
to a parlor, you are judged by your
Right,
own people around you. The
right,
husbands and the brothers and the fathers will never have any problem.
right.
The
Very interesting.
mothers and the sisters and the friends who will have, oh, because you had
Right,
gone to a spa, that is why you are looking like this. No, why cannot I?
right.
Am happy. That is why I'm glowing. I'm
Correct,
happy from inside, and that gives me the glow. I don't need a spa. And even if I've gone to a spa, so what?
correct,
It's so
correct.
relaxing.
Yeah. No,
Get
I
the
think
point?
also, yeah, women don't often have ownership of their own lives, you know. That is something
Yes,
I've seen both as a doctor and in the work I'm doing as clients. You always have to belong to someone, and then there is a different set of rules. When you're a daughter, you have to do certain things. As a wife, you have to do certain things. As a daughter-in-law, there are different rules. Like, when do you ever have a chance to be yourself, as you're saying, you
correct,
know, in a very
correct.
authentic way?
And when you're talking about yes, so there is a contradiction there again. When you were talking about surrender,
Hmm.
surrender means saying yes.
Yes. Which is why I had a problem with it because I don't like the idea of just having to say yes to whatever is offered to you. But I think surrender, similar to hope, is of two kinds, right? One is like I surrender, like in a war or somebody's got their gun and you're like, I surrender. The other way that what I have understood is to surrender to the idea that you can't control everything. So to surrender to the flow of life and say, okay, I will handle things as they come. Not I will try to control everything so that it will happen in the way that I want it to happen. So that was my understanding. So I don't know if that fits in with your philosophy.
I don't know, but no, no, it's not about philosophy. It is my understanding again.
Right.
How I understand surrender is. No, surrender is same like हल्की चिंता मत कर.
Correct.
So I surrender. I do my work and I
Right.
surrender the effect to the divine.
Right. So that's
That
exactly
is
the core of the Gita, right? You do
the
without
surrender.
expecting the
Yes.
return. That is surrender for you. That's
You
beautiful.
don't surrender to the result.
Right.
I have no expectations from the result. I do my
Right.
fullest. I
Correct.
don't strategize like that then.
Correct. Correct. So you do the thing that you're supposed to do,
With my
whether
capacity,
whether something is going to come to you in return, not like so you're not kind of making some kind of an unspoken promise to the universe that I'm
correct.
doing this, but by the way, make sure I get that, you know, like
Yeah,
buying a
there are
lottery
no
ticket or something. That
transactional
please,
things
please,
there.
please.
Yeah,
Right.
no transactions happening there. No, I am
Right,
doing
right.
as
Wow.
in my capacity, whatever I have to do to the best of my
Right,
capacity, I
right.
will do. And I surrender the result to the
That's
universe, to the
beautiful. That's beautiful. So again, one of the spiritual learnings I had while I was doing this is that, you know, when you are in a victim mindset, you believe that everything is happening to you. Life is happening to
universe.
you. You know, why is this happening to me? You know, why are they behaving badly to me? Why this to me, that to me? But when you reach a level where you realize life is happening through you and you are
Yes,
actually part of that flow of life, I think that took a lot of time for me to move out of my brain and my intellect and to actually recognize the heart and the gut and you know the deeper soul. And I found it to be an extremely profound journey.
yes,
So who I am right now, if you had met me say 2, 3 years ago, you wouldn't recognize. I was a completely different person. And I also sometimes I think back and think, my God, you know, how come? Like he studied so much in medical college, undergraduate, postgraduate, obviously school, college. Nobody taught us emotional literacy. Nobody taught
yeah,
us how to negotiate our own, you know, identity, boundaries. What does it mean? And I think I see the newer generation becoming much more aware
much.
and you know,
They
because of
are, they are.
social media also probably, but you
Yes,
know what they used to call woke some years ago. Like
yeah,
people are much more aware of what should be in terms. I
actually,
don't know whether they're necessarily able to do it, but at least I think they know much more than we
they
did as
know.
20-year-olds for
Yes, yes.
sure.
They know more because of the universities. I was talking in another show also. The
Right.
universities, the Instagram university, the WhatsApp university, and
Okay.
the Twitter university,
True,
the
true.
biggest of all. So these are the university they are studying, and they know a
Right.
bit here and there. But that is knowledge again. No, to
Hmm.
for that wisdom to actually dawn, if we
Hmm.
go a little further, they really need a
Correct.
coach and a mentor to give
Absolutely.
that wisdom out of that knowledge.
That I
So
agree. Yeah.
knowledge is not enough.
That I agree. Because I used to read a lot of self-help books. So at the time when the relationship was really not going well, and I could see that, you know, it wasn't going to continue for very much longer, I read quite a few books. And you know, as you said, I would read the book and I would feel, oh my God, like this is so wise and profound. And then I would close the book and I would be like, okay, now what do I do with it? Like, how do I make it, you know, implement it
Yeah.
in my life?
Yes.
So
Yes.
eventually, when I found a mentor and a coach and I worked with them, that's when all the shift was able to happen. So I
Yes.
completely agree with you that for the information to become transformation, that catalyst is really your coach or your mentor. So that's very, very
Absolutely.
powerful.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. We
Beautiful.
need to have a coach and a coach like you, or probably a mindfulness coach.
Like you as well. Absolutely.
Yes.
So,
So
so
then,
to yes, so to close our conversation, and it's been fabulous, and I'm sure you know you and I could keep on talking for a very long time.
We can
But
just give
because it's
one.
such a beautiful flow, right? It's almost the same work that we're both doing. So
Right.
if you could just share maybe 3 or 5 tips for our listeners on how to find hope and happiness, no matter what situation is on the outside. How do you still, create that hope and happiness on the inside?
Yeah, absolutely. So I go by 5 P's actually. So
Okay,
when I started to write down in my sessions, no, it is easier for children or the adults to
right.
understand with those. I use a lot of acronyms and a lot of these C's
Lovely.
and P's, so that makes the learning little more easy for them. So 5 P's, we can start with the presence. No, to be present,
Okay.
always be present in the
Hmm.
now. No, I'm not detailing. I'm just giving
Hmm.
the tips already.
Absolutely.
We have spoken. So it is very self-explanatory, and you
Hmm.
can always contact us for our one of the sessions, so we can have more
Absolutely.
details there. And then to have a lot of patience, because when you are in that situations, you
Hmm.
need to have patience.
Right.
Yeah. And then we have to be very positive and be surrounded by positive people also. You know,
Correct.
how can you be positive when you have probably positive, reading positively, having people around who are positive? That is very, very important. And then, as you mentioned, practiced self-care, no? Practice
Hmm.
self-care and also practice gratitude. Very
Right.
important to be actually practicing gratitude. Because when we are in that hopeless situation, we see everything is negative around us. We stop seeing anything which is positive. But when we see positive, we need to be
Hmm.
grateful for that thing. And the
Wow.
last, fifth one is to be persevering. Never
Okay.
give up.
Never give
Never
up.
give up. Never give up till you find whatever you have to find. No, just don't give up.
That's
So just
amazing.
persevere. Just persevere. So these are the 5 P's which we remember, and we can change our passive hope to active, and we can create the cause for our happiness.
That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. And in closing, I would just like to say that, there is so much resonance between spirituality and philosophy and the work that we all need to do in all relationships. Because this is something I often say, people, the way we use the language nowadays, we give so much importance to the romantic relationship in society that you'll often hear young people saying, "Oh, right now I'm not in a relationship." And I'm like, "But you are. You've got parents, siblings, friends, you're in a relationship with yourself."
Absolutely.
We just
Yeah,
negate everything because that romantic or that marriage relationship is seen as the highest one. So I love these 5 P's that we can use. And I'll add 2 more so that you have a pause and that you get peace.
yes,
We round it off with 7 P's. And with
yes,
that, we would leave our listeners to really think about how they can use this information that we have shared for a transformation of their own. And if any of you want to, of course, do any coaching program with either of us, we'd be more than happy to help you because that
absolutely.
really is our another P, which is our passion in life. So
Yes.
thank you so much,
Passion
Dr.
and
Monica.
purpose. And purpose.
Absolutely.
So there are a lot of
Wow.
P's.
A lot of P's. That's beautiful. So thank you so much, Dr. Monica. It's been an absolute pleasure having this conversation with
Same,
you.
same
And
with
thank you
you.
so much
Yeah.
for sharing your
Thank you, Sujita, Dr.
wisdom.
Suchita. It was really wonderful, and hope to stay connected for a lot more conversation like this. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you.